Gent here, and in this episode we're at Brown's Dairy, which is soon gonna join the Ain't Dare No More list, unfortunately, as it's being torn down. So we're gonna check out what's still left as they're in the process of tearing it all down. So let's get out here and look at it. Welcome to Gent. Let the good times roll. So just go ahead and destroy that subscribe button and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and I really would appreciate it, and it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm. So this Brown's Dairy has been a familiar sight to me for decades, as back before Hurricane Katrina I worked nearby on Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard that we'll be visiting here shortly. And then when I worked in the New Orleans suburb of Metairie, I would drive past here every weekday on my way to work. And they definitely had some problems with this place, and I can't say that I don't understand why they had to shut it down, and why it's now being torn down by the new owners, who we still don't know who they are. So you can see they've progressed pretty well into dilapidating and tearing down the buildings here. So I don't know how much longer the remaining buildings will remain standing, as they're making pretty good progress knocking all of this down with pretty quick timing, which in New Orleans it usually takes a lot longer to knock things down than this. So on my way to the highway every morning when I worked in Metairie, the milk trucks literally had to back up into this dairy facility to offload their milk, and none of the truckers liked it. It backed up traffic. It just was not designed very well for modern trucks, and you could tell the truckers were very unhappy with the space. New Orleans is a hard enough city to drive in usually, but when you get a huge semi-truck with a tractor trailer attached attempting to back up into such a tight spot, there were a lot of accidents and problems, and that backed up traffic. And it was a daily occurrence with somebody having serious trouble backing up into this area. So it really was not designed well at all for the modern industry of bringing milk to the facility. And they look like they still have a lot of supplies and pieces of crate stacked up. I'm not sure what all they have going on with that. If anybody out there knows what goes on in a demolition project like this and what all that stuff's used for, comment below and let us know. So we're continuing down Carondelet Street here, and we started off at the intersection of MLK and Carondelet. So we're about to hit the corner of the facility here, and it is a huge space that they had here. Now we're going to go up Arado Street and see more of the facility here. So Brown's Dairy Milk Processing Plant was a 200,000 square foot site that unfortunately had to close down in 2016 with a loss of 185 jobs. Brown's Dairy had been acquired by Dallas-based Dean Foods Southwest Division, and the regional operations were all consolidated in a new facility in Hammond, Louisiana, which resulted in the decision to close the New Orleans facility in 2016. It is a heartbreaking situation, though, as Brown's Dairy traces its story all the way back to 1904 in New Orleans, when Canadian native Benjamin Brown moved to New Orleans and started an ice cream plant at the intersections of St. Charles Avenue and Polymnia Street. This business was known as Brown's Velvet Ice Cream Company, and it had one freezer and an old gray mare to steer the wagon. The company's 4 employees used crushed ice and rock salt to hand crank their ice cream. In 1917, Brown constructed a brick plant at the intersection of Baronne and Thalia Streets that could hold 5,000 gallons of ice cream. The company was successful and continued to expand its operations, so that by 1950, the company was producing 10,000 gallons of ice cream each day, along with selling milk to wholesalers. Brown's Velvet Dairy eventually became Brown's Dairy and then part of Dean's Foods. And just another quick historic note, right next to Brown's Dairy is Oglesich's right here, another noted famous New Orleans restaurant that sadly also closed in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina. Then in 2016, Brown's Dairy closed, and then so many others have closed due to the pandemic in New Orleans and around the world. Now we're here at the intersection of Arado and Baronne Street. The front of the dairy building here is on Baronne Street. And then as we look over here, this is the former parking area for the Brown's Dairy facility. And this is actually listed as a separate parcel for sale, separate from the main dairy complex. This is an 86,000 square foot property that covers almost the entire block bordered by Baronne, Arado, and Thalia streets, and the 1300 block of Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard on the lakeside over there. So you can see there are some huge parcels of land here that could be of interest to developers. So here we are at the Brown's Dairy parking area on Aretha Castle Haley Street, and this is going to be a completely different development area, and it was sold as a separate property than the actual dairy area itself. So the last news that I was able to find about this property is that there's a New Orleans-based nonprofit housing developer teaming up with an insurance company for a $60 million project to convert this area into an affordable housing project for Medicaid users. It would be a 192-unit housing complex, which will be a health and housing pilot project for Gulf Coast Housing Partnership and Humana. So far, though, I've seen absolutely zero action and development on this, which unfortunately that's really common, where there will be plans and properties get purchased and then things just sit for a long time. So I don't know if that project is actually going to happen or not. But I used to work right down the street from here on Aretha Castle Haley, so these are some of my old stomping grounds here. And it definitely is kind of sad to see so many of the places that I knew so well before Katrina to now be gone. Well, let's take a little trip down Arado Street here and take a better look inside the parking area from this angle. And hey, go ahead and destroy that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying yourself so far, as it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm. So the space is really near the New Orleans Mission, where a lot of homeless people tend to stay. And then there's also quite a population of homeless people that camp out right under the highway underpass in this area. And I did see evidence that there were homeless people camping out in this area, and there had been some also camping out in the dairy as well that they have since cordoned off. This looks like the gate got broken through though, and there were still a few people I saw wandering in the area that had some piles of their stuff around. So it is a huge parking area though, but definitely no developments going on. And then as we are back here on Baronne Street looking at the front of Brown's Dairy here, that is definitely a huge parcel of land between the parking lot and the dairy area. So I don't know what is planned for whoever purchased the dairy processing plant area. The work has started just recently. The most recent thing that I can find is it was a very recent purchase in 2021. So hopefully some news will come out and we will learn what's happening. If you happen to know what's going on with this property development, comment below and let us know, as we're all very curious. And here we can look through and see some more of what's happening with the demolition. The building does not have long to stand, obviously, as they're working from the back to the front. It definitely is not for long, and soon will be in the annals of it ain't there no more. This Brown's Dairy plant opened back in 1960 and was processing up to 15 tankers of raw milk daily. Now, as we see though, it is not going to be in the New Orleans skyline much longer. And they're making progress with chipping away piece by piece at it. They have the large machines back there. I'm not quite sure what kind of excavators those are. If you happen to know, comment below and let us know what those are, what they're called. I'm not up to my designations of what all the latest and greatest big machines are these days, but you can tell they have been tearing into it from the backside, working their way towards the street. So definitely big chunks are being pulled off, and it is going to soon be all cleared out here. So these are some big machines here, so if you know what they are, let us know. And as we look off into the New Orleans downtown skyline, We can see the Superdome right there and the rest of the downtown area from this viewpoint. So this really did have a lot of possibilities of so many things it could be, and I don't know what it's going to be, but this is definitely a nice view you get from this vantage point. I will always just remember it as the place that had the big cows on trailers, so I will miss seeing these cows. So tune in next time for more good food, good times, and good people. And I'm going to be a little sad not to see this place anymore.
Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you would just click on the little circle here with a picture of my head in there and subscribe to the NOLA Jet channel, it would really help me a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you.